Hi, I'm Christina Applegate.
And I'm Jamie-Lynn Sigler.
And this is
Messy. The following message is brought to you by Novartis. Since partnering with Novartis, I have been thinking a lot about when I was first diagnosed with relapsing MS. And to be honest, I was overwhelmed and in denial, and I didn't want to accept it. Eventually, I had to be real with myself, reflect on what was important, reframe how my diagnosis was impacting my life, and focus on how I was feeling. And I wish I'd started thinking about my needs sooner. It helped me get to a place of acceptance and find the right treatment choice for me. And I really hope others don't wait as long as I did. That's why I partnered with Novartis to create a 3-step guide, hoping it can help people speak up and voice their needs. Get the guide at reframingms.com.
Hi, welcome everyone to Messy. My name is Christina, and I have a beautiful friend named Jamie, whom I love with every bit of my soul, my heart, and my spirit. And we have so many wonderful episodes that we want to air in the next coming weeks. But today was something that was very important to us because it involved Jamie and her beautiful family. And so it's incredibly important to us. So we hope that you take a moment and listen. Thank you.
So I want to apologize in advance if I am a little all over the place. This is probably the first time I'm like piecing together what has happened to me and my family over the last month. It's something none of us ever saw coming, or I would ever think I'd ever be going through, and I'm still very much going through it. About a month ago, I was feeling some weird things in my body, and I was having these weird reactions. I had this weird thing in my butt. We love to talk about our butts, and I had something going on in my butt, and I couldn't figure out what was going on in my butt. But I started getting like this like weird like contraction in my abs, and I knew it was like a neurological response. Long story short, I ended up being rushed to the hospital. It turns out I had a perineal cyst. I was admitted to the hospital for a couple of days. I was talking to Christina through it. And while I was there, my son, Beau, started spiking all these really high fevers and getting these weird headaches. And over the course of me being in the hospital, my husband was taking him back and forth to the pediatrician. And they were like, oh, he just has some regular virus and, let it ride out. And because he was testing negative for everything. And I got home on a Thursday. Friday afternoon, we went bowling as a family. He kept saying he had a little headache, but he was being my perfect Beau, where when we were bowling, he would bring me my ball so I didn't have to walk to get it and take care of me. And when we got home, I knew something wasn't right. He spiked 105 fever again and started screaming that his head hurt. And I told my husband, you need to take him somewhere right now. I had just gotten out of the hospital, so he didn't want me going to a hospital or anything. So he rushed him to urgent care. They did a thorough check, chest x-ray, checked his body for any weird rashes, sent him home. Saturday morning, he was so sick, we brought him to an emergency room. They finally did some blood work. He's falling asleep now everywhere we go because he's so sick and having the high fevers and crazy headaches, and ruled everything out and sent us home. Saturday night, he woke me up again, hysterical crying with a bad headache and a really high fever. Sunday morning, still, I was like, fuck this. I want to go back to the emergency room. We went back to called my nanny. She came to watch my other boy. And we went back to the emergency room. And same thing again, did more blood work, checked him for mono, checked him for all these different things that it could be. And he's like sleeping in the chair, and he hadn't eaten in a few days. Like we could barely get him to eat. And while he was sitting there, he said, Mommy, I can't pee. I feel like I have to pee and I can't pee. And my feet feel tingly. So I say to the doctor, he's saying that this, and this, and this is happening. And they did the same fucking thing that they did to us all the other times before. If this persists, just come back. As we were walking out, he started crying to me. He had to pee. Before we walked out of the emergency room, we went in the bathroom and he's standing there and he can't, and he can't, and he can't. And my husband was like, let's just go home. We've done this. You've been in the hospital. And like his nightmare is when any of us are sick. So can you imagine, like, he's just been living his worst nightmare for the last 8 days between me and him. And I'm still not fully recovered from what I was going through. And I just didn't want to fucking leave the hospital. Like there was something inside me that fucking knew. And all they said to us was like, you got to follow up with infectious disease. Like this is out of our hands. You need to talk to infectious disease because we don't know what else this could be. We go home. I go with him into his room and I don't leave his side. He wakes up and he vomits everywhere. His fever spikes so high. And then next thing I know, it went really low. And I call my nanny and I'm like, you need to come back and like be with Jack. I need to fucking deal with this. The infectious disease doctor's office opened at 8 a.m. We called at 8:01. My husband did his cutter thing because they tried to tell us it was a 2-week wait and he somehow managed to get us an appointment at 2:00. So all we needed to do was get to this appointment at 2:00. Leading up to that, Beau can't stay awake. He can't eat anything. And he's screaming to me about his bladder. We get in the car and I'm like, I want to go to the office early. I want to go there. I want to be there at 12:30. I don't give a shit if our appointment's at 2. Something's wrong. On the drive there, he was screaming in pain in a way that like no mother should ever see her kid scream. We were pulling up to the offices and there was an emergency room right next door. And I said, pull me in the emergency room. We pulled up to the emergency room. He couldn't walk. I got a wheelchair. I put him in. I wheeled him in. I look at the lady. I'm hysterical, crying. I'm like, you got to help my kid. Something's wrong, please. And I was like, I have an infectious disease appointment at 2:00. She goes, those are so hard to come by. You got to go to that first and then come back. I'm like reeling at this point. I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm pushing him now in the wheelchair to a building across the street. I get to that office. The woman looks at me and looks at Beau. Thank God. She runs into the office. The infectious disease doctor comes out, looks at me and Beau and goes, I'm going to walk you back to the emergency room. Tell me what's wrong. So as we're walking there, I'm telling him the story with my husband of everything that's going on. We finally get admitted. I talk to you, Christina, when I'm there.
I know.
And I'm like freaking the fuck out because they start throwing out like the scariest diagnosis is we don't know what's wrong. He's passed out again. And they're like, they scanned his bladder and it was like 450, like more than any little bladder can like hold. And he's screaming in pain if you touch his body when he's not sleeping. So they had to put a catheter in. I'm holding my son and they put a catheter that's too big for him. It gets stuck in his penis. He's screaming in my face. They shoot him up with morphine. And they're like, you need to walk him to the MRI machine and comfort him while he's in there. For 2.5 hours, I have my hand inside the tube, holding my son's hand, trying to comfort him. He's screaming through morphine how much pain he's in.
Jesus fucking Christ.
They scan him. We come out. They're like, his brain and his spine is completely inflamed. We don't know what's wrong. We need to transfer you to the main hospital because this is out of our expertise. So at midnight, I'm in an ambulance with my son. He's still screaming. And the EMT looked at me and he's like, that Foley is not in right, the catheter. Like they fucked, something's wrong. He should not be screaming after this much. We get admitted to the hospital. I'll get over this catheter part soon. They try to pull it out. It's stuck. I have to shoot him with more morphine. I finally get it out. It's 2:00 in the morning and they take him down for a brain scan, like a more intense brain scan now that they have him sedated and out and that he won't move. They bring him back to me at 3 a.m. I'm just a ball on the bottom of his bed crying, not knowing what's wrong with my son. And the next morning we were woken up by a whole team of neurologists. They needed to take him and sedate him again for a lumbar puncture because they were afraid that he had something, either transverse myelitis or something called ADEM, ADEM. And it's a very rare neurological autoimmune response that kids can get to a simple virus like a cold or strep. They said it's compared to getting struck by lightning. That's like the most rare thing. But we can't diagnose it. You have to like rule out all these other things. Oh, this feels like a blur because this is 3.5 weeks ago now. And he's still in the hospital, by the way. And we have another month at least there. They call me down to his lumbar puncture and he's not waking up. His blood pressure was too low and his heart rate was too low. I'm thinking my son is dying. He somehow comes out of it. We go back upstairs. We meet our new neurological team. And for the next 2 days, he still had his strength. They put a new catheter in, by the way, while he was out. Thank God, the correct way. He still had his strength in his legs. He was losing the ability to talk. He wasn't really awake. He hadn't eaten now in 5 days. But we started these IV steroids to fight the inflammation. Started to become really agitated, as you can imagine. So I'm up 24/7, making sure he doesn't pull out his IVs, keeping him contained. But we're being told he could have a complete recovery. In 2 weeks, he could be back playing baseball. We're going to hit him with these steroids. When this happens and these kids have ADEM, like there's no other responses happening in his body. It's just this bladder thing. Like, don't worry. The next day, one of the doctors comes in and she goes to check him. And I see it in her face and I see it in his body. His legs stop working. And I'm watching him get the same neurological test that my doctors like always give me, right? And this is like so weird and like fucked up. But like my son always used to write me like little texts from his little Apple Watch being like, I wish I could take your pain away from you, Mom. Like, I wish I could take this away from you. I would die for you. I love you. And the 3 things he has wrong are issues with his bladder and his hip flexors and his feet. And that's me. And I'm thinking like my son's taking away my pain. Like, what are you doing, Beau? What are you doing? Stop it. You're my kid. Stop it. And I saw her face and she's like, this isn't good. She's like, we need to go down to the ICU right now. ICU right now. We need to do more intense treatments. They put him out again and they have to put a very large port catheter in his neck with all these huge things coming out. Again, his blood pressure was so bad. They were afraid he wasn't going to survive being under, but they had to do it. I waited 2.5 hours outside of the ICU, just pacing around. My parents had flown in. I was there with Cutter, like just waiting for this woman to walk out to tell me if my son was fucking dead or not. She comes out and tells me it was successful and he is okay. But they have to have him on an IV of epinephrine to keep his heart and blood pressure stable. Basically, he's having like a hit of an EpiPen constantly to keep him alive. He started what was to become 6 treatments of something called Plex, which is like a plasma exchange where they take all your blood out and they strip it of its plasma and then they put synthetic plasma back in, trying to take out all of the bad stuff in the blood and just refilling it. Over the course of the next few days, he loses his ability to use his mouth. We have to put a feeding tube in. He can barely talk. He can't walk. And nobody could understand why he was getting worse and not getting better. It was and has been like the darkest, hardest, most fucked up thing I've ever been through. Every time you would get like a little bit of good news, you would get slapped in the face with something else. For instance, one area of his spine that was inflamed affected temperature control and blood pressure. So that's why I think he was having those high fevers and like those fluctuations. That part seemed to be resolving because now he wasn't needing the epinephrine as much. So I had this like big win. But because he wasn't getting better, the neurologist was like, listen, it's very rare, but sometimes I need to just scan the chest and the abdomen because every once in a while there could be a cancerous tumor that could be causing this type of autoimmune reaction. So he gets the scans. We don't get the results. I go to bed. They have sitters with me to either help him from pulling his IVs out or his EEG things on his head to make sure he's not having seizures and now I'm not sleeping. So as you can imagine, I'm not my most patient self, which I've been beating myself up about too, because as he is not sleeping and I know that that's not going to help him get better, I'm like mad at him that he's not resting because he's not getting better and I'm scared. And I get woken up at midnight from a doctor being like, we found something in his bladder. It's not a hematoma. It looks like a mass. And I'm like, what do you mean it's a mass? And she's like, I mean, it could be cancer. I'm like, I was celebrating a win that he's off the epinephrine. And now you're telling me that my kid, that's just an example of just basically what the 12 days in the ICU was for me. They sedate him again and they take him in for a 4-hour MRI of the brain, the spine, and the abdomen. In that moment, I'm in this bare ICU room where his bed is gone and there's a space. Now I have to say, in this time now, all of my girlfriends are shifting in with me. So I was never alone. And my friend Odette was there. And her and I put our heads together and we prayed harder than I've ever prayed in my life. Because as you can imagine, my sense of faith was so fucking rocked during this time. Like there were moments where I could feel the power of prayer and intention and love. And there were other moments that I was like, fuck you, God. Like, fuck you. What the fuck? In this moment, we prayed as hard as we could. And the only thing I wanted was my kid to wake up and to just give me a sign that he was going to be okay. And they brought him back and he came out of it quick. And all he wanted to do was eat. It was the first time he's eaten in 10 days. And it was my sign that maybe we were on our way out.
I just wanted to take a quick break and share a word from one of Messi's advertisers. Since partnering with Novartis, I have been thinking a lot about when I was diagnosed with relapsing MS. I kept it a secret at first, and that robbed me of the support I really needed. I finally found the courage to open up about it and quickly learned the importance of speaking up. That means making your voice the loudest in the room. You have to find an MS specialist who's the right fit, who makes you feel seen and heard. It's kind of like dating. That's why I partnered with Novartis to create a 3-step guide to inspire others to own their RMS journeys, recognize their needs, and find a treatment that works for them. Learn more about my story at reframingms.com.
This show, Messy, is sponsored by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird to say to a person with MS, but
yeah,
here's
that's
the thing. Leg day, not our favorite.
No.
But therapy day.
Yes. An absolute favorite.
Yes. To not figure out, but to express and have a place that we can just say what we have to say, because sometimes we hold stuff in. And as we know, scientifically, if you hold stuff in, can cause lots of things in the body temple. So
that's
to be able to express ourselves and get it out is healing.
That's right. Getting it out, giving yourself an opportunity to learn positive coping skills, how to set boundaries, like we've talked about so many times. And it also just starts to empower you to be the best version of yourself. You get to show up in the ways that you want. And, you know, any of us have experienced major trauma, and there's no room to compare trauma. Trauma is trauma, and we've all experienced it. You know,
mine's worse. Just kidding. Okay, sorry.
Earth School. We're all here on Earth School. We're all dealing with shit. It's important to have an opportunity. You deserve it. You deserve the opportunity to work through these things. You're important enough. You're special enough. You're worth it. The best thing about BetterHelp is it's entirely online. It's totally designed to be convenient. It's very flexible. You can make your therapy suited to your schedule. All you have to do is just fill out this brief questionnaire. You'll get matched with a licensed therapist. And if you're not vibing, you can switch therapists, by the way, anytime for no additional charge.
And what's really interesting is like, I come from a boomer and they didn't talk about their feelings.
That's right.
And when you go down the line genetically, then it just starts to, sorry, I'm going to say it, fuck people up.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to have a person that you trust to speak with. And BetterHelp has very trustworthy therapists who are there for you 100% with no judgment or anything else. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/messy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, doing a spelling bee again, HELP.com/messy.
2 days later, he doesn't have a mess. It was a bruise from the bad catheter. And so the bladder had created a lot of mucus and lining. Some of the inflammation was going down. So the Plex treatments and the steroids were doing their thing. However, physically, he was not still doing better. So we were going to have to now start something called IVIG, and he was going to have to start rituximab, which is an MS drug, which I'm sure many of you know about. Now in this time, because hasn't slept in 16 days, and he's had all these drugs and all this trauma and all these steroids, my son now has developed like severe psychosis. From the moment he's up to the moment he goes to bed, he loops and he loops and he loops and he loops and he talks about different obsessions. I want to get up. I want to sit down. I want to fix my blanket, fix my pillow, sit me up, sit me down. There's not a minute that my child isn't speaking like that. I don't recognize him. There's not an ounce of him that I see of the Beau that I know. We got transferred out of the ICU because his vitals were stable, which is a win. We're in a rehab floor now where he will be for at least another month as we try to see what the trajectory of his recovery will be. My win yesterday and today is he's regained his ability to walk. It's a miracle. It's amazing. His body is strong. It's an example of healing. But my son, like I said, is not there. We are treating him with antipsychotics. He still hasn't slept. Last night, he slept total from 8 to 7, maybe 2 hours sporadically. He repeats. For a little comic relief, during one of his rants, he called me a motherfucking slow walking bitch, which I think will now be the title of my book. That's not my son, though. It's not him. He asked me to move his ass blasting bullshit pillow. But we laugh. It's like the only thing we can do in these moments is laugh because
he's there.
There's his sense of humor is there. Like you ask him a question, he'll be like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Like, but then he'll keep looping. And so it just feels like, again, like we have these wins, like he's regaining his physical strength. We're out of the ICU. He's not on any IVs anymore. All the ports are out. The things are out. The wires are out. But like, who is my kid? Is he ever coming back? What is our life going to be? I don't know.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You know, you and you and I were communicating, you know, somewhat until I felt like I needed you to just be left and no questions answered anymore.
Yeah.
Because you know how it is to be in the hospital and people are texting you and then you're like, fuck off, please stop asking me questions. So anyway, and I had said something about meningitis, and I'm not saying anything about this, but the reason I'm saying this is because I was married before I was married, and that person's dad got meningitis, and the day before 9/11, which is we were supposed to be on one of those planes, but that's everyone's story, right? Doesn't everyone say like, I was supposed to be on one of those planes?
Yeah.
But we actually were. Anyway, but he with the meningitis and the swelling of the brain was on a loop.
Yeah.
And so and was so for many days. And I'm asking you a question is what are they saying about that? Is because of the brain swelling and stuff like that, and then the lobes and the things that are like, educate me.
Getting conflicting reports, and this is what's like frustrating. So from the psych team, a lot of it is like, we think this is the steroids and the lack of sleep. He's had a lot of fucking steroids. He's still on his taper. Steroid-induced psychosis is something that can happen. ICU delirium. He was in the ICU for 13 days. Like a lot of and he doesn't remember anything. I mean, he finally knows we're in the hospital. For many days, you'd be like, you know where we are? He'd be like, Florida. But he can read, and you show him pictures. Like when my friends would come in from out of town, he knew who they were, and he would say,
he calls
hi.
you a crippled bitch. What does he call you?
No, he called me a motherfucking slow walking bitch.
There you go. We're making t-shirts. I love you, Beau. Go ahead.
But then again, every time a doctor leaves, he'll go, I love you, Dr. Hardy. I love you, Ashley, to his PT. Like he said, he there's still the Beau, but it's so I'm being told that as the steroids resolve, we could see some of the resolve. I'm also being told this is a result of the brain inflammation. I'm also being told this could be delirium. And I had this angel sitter one time sit with me, this sweet boy named Austin, who sat with me and watched him one night. And I remember he said to me, Jamie, you need to advocate for your son. These are wonderful medical professionals, but you are his mom and you know best, and you need to advocate for him. After last night, I'm home right now for the first time really in 3.5 weeks, because I needed to excuse myself because I no longer had the patience, and I was harboring guilt because of the way that I was yelling back at him last night, because I'm just so fucking frustrated, not at him, but of what we are going through.
You're in fucking pain. Jesus criminy fucking Pete's, girl.
I know.
A week before this, you were, I mean, I can't.
But I said,
I totally,
every
it's
doctor.
Okay.
I know.
It's okay to be home right now.
I know. But I said to every doctor today, I respect you and your opinion, and I trust that you want what's best for my son, but I'm going to tell you something right now. For the next 48 hours, the only thing I want you to treat him for is to sleep. Knock him the fuck out. Whatever you need to do for the next 3 nights, this boy, I promise you, will be better if you help him sleep. I want that to be our main focus. I ended up having a meeting with 20 doctors before I left today, and they all came in agreement, thank God. So he's going to get a special cocktail of his medications tonight. We're holding it off all day. My husband's going to grind through the looping with him. He did get his ability to pee back. He will only do it in the shower. But as his mom too, when they were like, he's not peeing, we're going to have to self-catheter. And I was like, give me a minute. Give me a fucking minute before you stick that thing up his penis again. Give me a minute. And I walked him into the bathroom and I was like, Beau, you pee in the shower all the time, right? And as he's like, I want a shower. I want a shower. I want a shower. I was like, great. I'm going to turn on the water and you're going to pee in the shower for me right now. Okay. And he did.
That's where you're supposed to pee, right?
Exactly. And he did it. And he did it.
Good job, buddy.
And he's continuing to do it. So every day we just multiple times a day, we're walking in the shower and we're peeing in the shower, but I don't give a fuck. He's peeing. That sensation's coming back. We're training that back. I love everybody there. And I love that the way they care and they're smart, but I'm finding my voice and I'm finding my strength and I'm finding my power, because it's not about me. It's about my kid. I normally don't possess the gravitas that I currently have. But, I try not to go too far in the future. I was warned about the roller coaster and that this trajectory, this healing is not linear with something like this. It's a lot of 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, but they keep promising me that they're seeing improvement. I had one woman tell me that this could subside in a few weeks. I had another woman just tell me this could be another year of this. I don't know what to expect, what my life is. I feel like I'm in a dream.
Can I say something to you as your friend and as you and I have this disease that does exactly the same thing? And the sense that he has you who is understanding of the up and the down and the step forward and the 10 steps back. Sometimes of course you don't. Oh my God, Jamie, I'm not saying that this is okay. I'm saying, how lucky is he right now to have you who can say to him, I get it, buddy. And I'm here for you. And I get it. Look, I'm not trying to make a spin.
You're not.
Fuck,
No, you're
this
not.
fucking
I get it.
sucks.
And I love you.
Like, I literally want to fall on the ground.
He's just such a beautiful boy. He's such a good kid. And he's so special.
And he has you. He has an understanding.
You know what's funny? We so many friends have had like any professional athletes that they know send him videos, and it makes him happy when he sees them. And last night he got in like this loop, and I made him watch Family Feud with me because I'm like, I can't watch the fucking Sandlot again. I'm like, we're watching fucking Family Feud.
Sandlot. Okay, we'll talk.
We're watching Rookie of the Year, Sandlot. Like he likes all sports movies.
Okay.
We're watching Family Feud and Macklemore. It was like Celebrity Family Feud. And it was Macklemore. He was like, text one of your friends and get Macklemore to send me a video.
There you go. Who else does he want? I'll start making calls.
I'll get a list for you. I
can get my LA weird alternative freakazoids that I know and send him whatever he wants.
Yeah. But, just there's moments too, like in the night when he's crying and looping and he'll say like, I want my old life back.
Oh, buddy.
And he'll go, I'm trying, Mama. I'm trying to get rid of the sickness, Mama. I'm trying. And it's just like my kid is in there and I don't know how much he is aware. I don't know how much, like I asked him this morning, like, do you remember last night, Beau? Do you remember sitting on the potty with Mommy from 3 to 5 a.m. of trying to push the poop out? And he was like, no. And I'm like, the brain is a fucking crazy ass thing, man. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. I don't know. The hospital tells me that they treat like 10 to 12 kids a year with ADEM. Like that's how rare it is. If anyone out there in this community knows anybody and any kids that have dealt with this or been through this, I would love for you to reach out because I am desperate. I know the web searches I stay away from because I feel like they're all really negative.
Yeah, I went down that hole.
Yeah. Yeah. But every test we've sent to the Mayo Clinic, finally, we've got all the results. Like everything is negative. It's kind of like MS where it like you rule everything else out, and then it's ADEM. The only other thing it could be, I forget what it's called. It's NMO. But he tested negative for it, but apparently within 3 years, you could eventually test positive for it. So you have to do a blood test every 6 months. And that would be more chronic, which means he would have to be on like something like Rituxan for the rest of his life.
So let me ask you, and for our, people that are listening right now, because it's not something I've ever heard of before, obviously.
Yeah.
And what are they saying? It's just like a random virus that gets into the
reaction
brain and the spinal cord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the body he could have had strep. He could have had the cold. He could have gotten exposed to any random virus.
Did he swim in a lake? Did he,
So
what
this is where I
things?
go back. So 2 weeks before the fever started, he was at sleepaway camp. He was in a lake. My husband then also sent me a picture from the website of him like shirtless with a snake around him, like because he hates petting zoos. But here's also like the weird thing. And I mentioned this to the doctors. When I picked him up from camp, he had a quote unquote heat rash on the front of his body and the back of his body. He's never gotten heat rashes. He has the most olivey skin ever. Like the kid's never burned. He's never had a heat rash, which was fine. I'm like, oh, that's weird, Beau. Does it bother you? He's like, a little. He's like, but it's weird. Me and my friend both have it. So I'm like, it's just weird that him and another kid in his bunk both had this identical rash on the front and back of their body.
Didn't I ask you? I think I asked you if he, and this is not, I'm not being.
Are you being house?
Yeah, I'm being house. No, because I said something about, I don't know. And it's just not, I'm not saying that. It just like my brain went like, was there lake water or,
But here's the thing,
which is kind of a thing, which has nothing to do with this, but I'm just.
No, he wasn't a lake the whole time, but no matter what, nothing changes the treatment, which is what they kept telling us. Regardless of what the exposure to the virus was, whatever virus caused this, we may never find out. And I don't think we are because everything's come back negative. The way they treat it and the body's reaction was just the body's reaction. So he has had the most aggressive form. It went from, oh, this is a mild case to, oh, this is a very severe case. When I was leaving the hospital today, I ran into the pharmacist from the PICU, the pediatric ICU. She was like, how is Beau? And I'm like, he fucking ran down the hallway today.
Oh my God. Beau. Yes, like, Beau.
But he's mentally not here. And she started crying and she was like, oh my God. She's like, Jamie, I'm going to be honest with you. We were very worried about your kid, which of course they never would have told me. But I was like,
no,
yeah,
of course not.
Yeah. These nurses, like, they tried to help him with like breathing exercises. And this one nurse practitioner, Brooke, I wish I knew your last name so I could shout you out if you're an angel.
We love you, Brooke.
She made this laminated thing called Beau's batting order. And it's like how to ask questions to calm your brain and this box breathing, but running the bases instead. Like the love and care that I felt from, I understand when people are like, to the medical professionals, the doctors, the nurses, I don't think I'm getting special treatment. I think these people fucking care so much. And I have been so moved and also so lucky. I have the most beautiful community of people that have been watching my other son, Jack. My friend Kelty, basically, he's part of her family now. She takes him out. She signs him up for camp. She keeps him occupied. We brought Jack to see Beau once so far. It ended up being Beau's, like, it was when he was bad, like in a wheelchair, couldn't hold his head up, drooling. But Jack needed to see him. Jack was waiting outside in a garden with all these special presents for him. He ran up to Beau and he took one look at him, and I could see the shock in his face, like of what his brother looked like. And he looked at me and I was like, it's okay. And next thing you knew, he's like, can I push him? And he started pushing Beau. Oh, and he pushed him to a table and he sat and he goes, I want to eat with Beau. So we put their favorite, this place Mandala's like has like pizza and pasta. We put it out and Beau just couldn't reach for the pasta. And Jack was putting a piece of pasta in his mouth, like one at a time. And I'm just like watching my 6-year-old like take care of my 10-year-old and I used to think he was a sociopath and now no heart. And I'm like, oh God, he's okay. He's sweet. But
how could it be a sociopath coming from you?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Sorry.
He has other genes in him. I'm kidding.
Oh, snap.
Not
Cutter.
Not
We're not talking about
not Cutter. Not Cutter.
Messy is supported by Foudy 15. It's pretty simple. Essential nutrients keep our cells healthy, which, keeps us healthy. If you want to get sciencey about it, studies show that C15 works by strengthening our cells, improving our,
mitochondrial.
Thank you. I dropped out of skill. You continue.
Well, it improves our mitochondrial function. It protects us against damaging free radicals. And the result of it all, better long-term metabolic, liver, and heart health.
It ends up, many of us are deficient of C15, which results in weaker cells. that makes less energy.
No,
Quit working earlier than they should. Oh my God.
not good.
All of that makes us age faster. Oh, fuck.
Boo.
Boo. Sleep poorly, feel sluggish. I mean, is this sounding familiar to you, James?
Sounds like my life, So that's why I got some Fatty 15. It has 3 times more cellular benefits than any omega-3 or fish oil. It's made from a patented, pure, and oxidation-resistant C15 powder derived from plants. It's vegan-friendly, free of flavors, fillers, allergens, preservatives. It works in all these multiple ways. Like we said, boosts mitochondrial energy output, activates our pathways. It's the bomb. So Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish your C15 levels and restore your long-term health. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/messy and using code MESSY at checkout.
Support for Messy comes from Peloton. So when I had heard of Peloton bikes, when it was just bikes before it was dominating the whole exercise world, I was so excited because I was boring myself to tears in my little home gym on my really old spin bike with my cassette tapes. Yes, kids, there are things called cassette tapes that my spin teacher had made, and I would give myself a class. And I found out that there was this incredible thing called Peloton, and you were part of like a community, and there were people talking to you, and you weren't alone. And I was like, this is so for me. And I remember getting on it the first time and losing my stuff. I met Raman Arzone, I met Cody Rigsby, I met Jessica King, and of course, the incomparable DJ John Michael, who makes every class to me that much more special. So it was like my everything, my obsession. And I had just I feel like I was trying to get rid of baby weight. And you know what happened? Bing, bang, boom. Healthier, had more energy, and got rid of some of that weight. So I'm obsessed with Peloton, and I'm even more obsessed with trying the tread because I have an old treadmill from probably 1845, and walking is really good for people with MS if we can. And I can't wait to do that because, again, I won't feel lonely. I'll feel like I have a friend. So get yourself moving with Peloton at onepeloton.com/running. That's Peloton at onepeloton.com/running. And again, mention us. Messy. Thanks.
I apologize if I've been all over the place in telling the story. Again, I'm on zero sleep.
No. You do not apologize right now. Nope.
I'm trying to piece it together in my mind. Because, I'm in shock.
Of course you are.
I'm in shock.
It's your fucking child, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say NPing.
Do it.
Because I don't want to say the name because that person will get very offended. But when my daughter, her appendix burst and the feeling of, all of that, which was not even close to what you're going through, I fell to the floor. And we as parents, they're not supposed to go before us, and so that feeling of that is so deep rooted in us. And you have been on my mind fucking 24/7 for the last month.
I know. When I was on the phone with you, that first moments in the hospital room, I couldn't breathe. But I will say something. Prior to all this, I was definitely in one of my own loops, I'll call it, about myself and my body and what I'm going through and what we deal with. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm fine. It sucks to live with this, but I'm fine. It is okay. We all have shit to deal with. I will take this every lifetime that I have for my kid to get his chance at a fair chance at his full life and his dreams. But I am forever changed. I've had friends that have texted me that they are forever changed from this experience. The power of Beau and whatever he's fucking doing from wherever place he's at, which I hope he comes out and he's in a beautiful playground and comes to tell us that he's just left his body for a minute and he's back to himself.
I already know he is because I can see it. I've dreamt about him like a few times. So I mean, for me,
I had a dream
sorry,
last night of him hitting his first home run.
Oh man. I had a dream that last night that I didn't make the macaroni and cheese casserole right. And I got in a lot of trouble with someone.
God forbid.
But anyway, no, I've dreamt of him. I see him.
Mm.
I see him.
Well, we'll take all the prayers for Beau.
Prayers for Beau.
Prayers for Bobo. We're trying to name his we were trying to think of a good name for his alter ego. I wrote down some of the other really salacious slangs. Hold on, let me
Chad.
Chad was one of his favorite one of my favorite nurses that he had.
So okay, sorry. Because that just came to my mind because that's a name.
Oh, so sometimes I have to ignore. So we got like a tented bed. So he's very safe in there. So I don't have to like hover over him all night. And sometimes I just have to ignore him and let him loop because sometimes if I'm close to him, it'll just escalate it because he wants me to fix my pillow, even though he's physically capable of it. So I've been full blasting in my headphones Love Island, like trying to tune him out.
Did you watch?
I'm in the middle, but then he's going to me.
Okay, sorry.
Shut that shit show off. Hold on. Hold on. He goes literally to me last night. I see you watching that shit show. Shut that shit show off with those women in the bikinis.
Oh my God. Wait, did you see that they sent me a water bottle?
I did.
Okay.
Liv sucks that thing down. I was like, is there water in there?
No, but I tweeted about it. They chew on it and they make gross sounds and then they clickety clackety. And
do.
because
it's
tweeted about
the
it,
mic right there.
And
that's why they sent it for you.
That's why they sent it to me. And now I know. I watched the rest of it. Now I'm in the middle of UK, the recent UK. So I'm almost at the end of the UK because I was gone to the Netherlands for a while.
That's right. That's right.
Now we're dealing with that again.
Well, can we talk about that in the next episode?
Yeah, we don't have to talk about it now. Not at all.
Oh, here's another one he said to me last night.
Okay, let me hear it.
Hey, Mom, you better help me move my body or I'm going to rage on you like a hot tamale.
Oh, my God. I love him. Oh, my God. I love this
And then
kid.
when every day he gets new nurses, he goes, excuse me, Mrs. What's your name? And then when he asks me to like promise things, he'll go, are you crossing your fingers, Mom? I'll say no. And he goes to me, are you crossing your vagina?
Oh, my God.
So again, like my friends and I that have been with, we have a whole list where like my friend was like, thank God he has a sense of humor. This would be brutal if he didn't at least was making you laugh through this.
Okay, to be able to like look at life and be going through what he's going through and then have that idea that is twinkling above like reality, to have like a fucking sense of humor. That kid's a rock star and strong and
I hope you call every pillow that you ever have an ass blasting motherfucking pillow.
Yes, an ass blasting motherfucking pillow. You fucking cunts. Oh no, sorry. He probably doesn't say
somebody's got to get this
cunts,
bullshit blanket over me.
Oh, Beau.
I know. And there's just, when we talk about like even for ourselves, like we can't help but just feel the hope for ourselves. Even through my darkest of hours of pain through this, I can't believe that he won't be okay.
No, he's going to be okay. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm just feeling it.
Me neither.
Because I do feel, I mean, I think we all feel when something is dire and then you have to surround someone with those kinds of feelings. I just feel like if you got a sense of humor in what he's doing, there's an element of fun to his brain.
Yes. Oh,
like fun.
100%.
Like I'm ready to like take you on and do stand up. And now we're going.
He makes everybody laugh. And then again, when they leave the room, he says, love you. He's got everyone wrapped around his finger the way Beau does.
That's, I was going to say, my father-in-law said to me, and as I was leaving my trip, he goes, you be here, but don't take it all the way. Anyway, that's all. It doesn't, I
What
don't
does
know
that
what it means.
mean?
I just wanted to tell you guys because
But
I
tell
really
me
don't know what it,
means. Would
I
he
really
get
don't
no
know.
context?
Nope.
Is that our card for the day?
But I feel like it kind of is like you be here, but don't take it all the way. I still don't understand. And I
Meaning
actually
maybe don't put your head in the future. Just be here, be present.
maybe that's what he was meaning.
Because, that's what my doctor said to me kind of today.
Okay. So maybe
She's
that's
like, Jamie, you are with him every minute of the day. But when I come in every morning, I look at Beau and I see him getting better.
okay. So maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
You be here. You have to be here, but don't take it all the way.
Don't go think the worst. Don't go to the end.
I think that's what, well, he texted me and I still didn't understand because they're Dutch and I love them so much.
Right.
But I think that would, no, but they're great at the English. But I think that, I don't know. I think that's a great thing. Like, be here, but you don't have to go all the way to the other side of thinking and rabbit holes and shit. Like, be here.
Yeah.
Because I'm not NPing. I got really sick in the Netherlands and I was so sick that they were all really scared for me when I was there. But we'll talk about that another date. But I think that's what it was like. Yeah. Be here, but don't go all the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I don't know.
Well, I'm so grateful that we have this forum because it's like I knew I needed, this was the place that I was going to be able to kind of talk about this. Not that like you have to feel like you have to like publicly talk about shit like this, but at the same time, like this is, I need to know information right now from other people. I need to, and I don't want to do it in an interview. I want to do it here but
you're giving the information to other people as well.
Sure.
That.
And you trust your intuition. Trust your fucking intuition. I knew something was wrong 6 days before we finally got admitted to that hospital.
Sorry, men's, women's. We know. We fucking know. Yep. We know it we know it in the second, and then we'll deny it. We'll deny that thought going like, no, I'm just being crazy because we've been told that we are crazy by the men's. Sorry, guys. Men's, good for you. But we know as moms, we know 100% we know.
Oh yeah. But again, I'm fine. I don't care about being a motherfucking slow walking bitch for the rest of my life.
And you know what FINE stands for? Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. So yeah.
I'm great. I'm okay. I'm fabulous. I'm here.
You are here. And you're the strongest bitch I know. And we don't have to be strong bitches. So fuck that comment. We can be flawed and broken and scared and all the things. But there's something about moms that they say can lift a car off of their child.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
There's something else too about this moment where I feel like everything I've been through in my life has like prepared me for this fucking journey right now. Like it feels that epic, where I'm like, I have channeled every ounce of every resource within myself for this whole experience that we're still very much in. But I mean, obviously we're out of the weeds, the deep, messy, fucked up weeds.
But you're never out of the woods
in
life, right?
Of course. Yeah. But the love and community that I opened myself up to in a way, because it wasn't for me, but the lesson in that, like, why wouldn't we ever receive love that people want to give? Like, I will thank again, like every one of my friends and family members that have just gone above and beyond for my family. I will never, ever, ever, ever be able to express my deep gratitude for that, and to see how much love people have for my sweet Beau.
Oh my girl. I wish I could get on a plane and just come there And
we have a trip in October planned, and we were supposed to be in LA right now,
I know.
but I planned it. We rented a dope Airbnb. We're going to do it. I talked to Beau about it. I keep showing him pictures of the house. I'm like, we're going to do this, bro. I also have this, which I'm getting ahead of myself, but like, I don't want to be left back in school. So I'm like going to do anything I can that will get through 5th grade, whether it's homeschooled or whatever. I'm like obsessively calling the principal because I want his best friends in his class with him, because however he returns, like I need him bolstered by his boys. My sweet Jack did say to me the other day, he was like, Mommy, are people going to make fun of him? And I was
Oh
like,
my God,
"No."
Jackie.
I know, but it's like, his 6-year-old brain trying
Right.
to,
Of course. It
and then
doesn't
he did say, he
understand.
goes, I'm never going to yell at him again for not playing the video games I want. And I'm like,
Bullshit.
so I was like, that's what I said. I'm like, that's
He's going to
hilarious.
yell the fuck out of him. That's what brothers
Now that I
do,
see
right?
Beau's strength is back, no doubt you'll still beat the shit out of each other.
Oh my God. I really want Beau
It's
to call me.
4:44 right now. Should we make a wish where
Yeah.
I'm at? Okay. Thank you.
I just saw water balloons with paint in them and was throwing at Jack. Sorry.
I
Bye,
just
Beau.
picked a card.
Okay.
The world is the great gymnasium where we come to make ourselves strong.
There we go.
I picked it from the middle of the pack too. It wasn't even the next one.
Well, thank you to everyone who's listening. And
yeah, thanks for if you're still listening to my blabbering.
they're listening.
I was a terrible storyteller today. I'm sorry.
No. My love, not only this is why we do this, but because number one, you expressed yourself in a beautiful, vulnerable way. And this is life.
Yeah.
And also you brought attention to something that many people may not know about. So Adam, if anyone has a child who's going through this, please speak up, advocate for your child.
Yep.
Advocate for your family, advocate for yourself. Never stay silent when it comes to your children or a loved one. Obviously, you have taught all of us something, but you've also revealed how incredible you are as a human being and a mother and a friend. And, as a disabled person as well, when it comes to our children, for some reason, we can lift the car.
Yeah.
We can lift the fucking car.
I mean, I pushed him in a wheelchair across a whole fucking campus twice.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. And I just had that experience with my child. She was having some POTS issues in the Netherlands, and mama, who couldn't walk, all of a sudden,
wow.
Mommies can lift the car.
We can lift the car.
We can lift the car.
That's the title of this episode.
Yeah. Lift the car. I love you.
Love you.
And so it is. This show is executive produced by Christina Applegate, Jamie-Lynn Sigler, and Allison Bresnick. Our audio engineer is Josh Windish.
And if you want to show us some love, don't forget to leave the show a rating or review. Hi, it's Jamie. Thanks for listening. I just want to let you know I am a paid spokesperson for Novartis, but this podcast is independent from my collaboration with Novartis.